mental health. It's a word that conjures up negativity, right? But we've all got a brain, and we've all got a brain in different variations of health. Health as in well-being, as in ticking over just fine and everything goes all right. And then there are people that struggle with mental health. You've got different ways. You've got depression, anxiety. There's numerous other things, as well as, say, for instance, paranoia, schizophrenia, psychosis, and other things that I don't really understand a great deal about. Now, this is not about the medication, okay, and talking about, so before anybody at YouTube want to go down the road of medical misinformation, we're talking about supply and demand here, all right, so you can calm your tits. Now, I had a person get in touch with me, and he says that he suffers from schizophrenia, and he's rather worried that there is a shortage at the moment, and that I should go and look it up because they're talking about it on the news. So I have, a little bit, and it's true. There is a worry about supply and demand regarding the medication for schizophrenia. Now, I don't know much about that medication, but what I do know is if you're a schizophrenic, it's bloody important to you, and it keeps you on the straight and narrow. Now, I've known people that have taken things like antipsychotics for different reasons. I myself have had 18 years on many different happy pills. Some were fucking awful, some were alright, but all of them, I mean, in my case, I believe that the brain is much like a muscle and can be trained, and that if you do train it, it's not easy, by the way, that in some cases, only some cases, in my case particularly, that if you train yourself and you get yourself genned up with information and stuff like this, you stay away from bad situations, you don't overdo it on stuff like alcohol and things like that, that you can make your brain slightly happier. And I've been off medication personally myself now for 2 and a bit years, and I'm happy. 99.9% of the time I'm taking over okay, alright? But there are people that for whatever reason, okay, and there's no fault of their own, they're probably going to need medication for the rest of their lives. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, the doctors going back years ago were handing out certain tablets like fucking Smarties. And it did seem that, you know, the pharmaceuticals were all too keen to get people on the medication, so now they haven't got enough. Well, apparently it's for 2 reasons. One of them is the supply chain. That's causing problems. Whether that's got anything to do with, say, for instance, things like the Suez Canal being, well, you can't go down there because you might end up being attacked, so you've got to go around the houses, which puts weeks on your trip, or whether it's something else, I don't know. So I can't comment. But what the other factoring thing is that more and more people nowadays are needing mental health medication. And it's not surprising really, is it, to be fair? I mean, our life, or our world these days, is anything but simple, alright? If you went back years and years ago, life was a lot more straightforward. Black was black, white was white, straight was straight, gay was gay, a man was a man, a woman was a woman, and you generally knew that you respected your parents, and anybody that was fucking harder than you, well, you stood away from them, right? And you had a set of rules, and they were all fairly straightforward, and you could live by them. Well, nowadays, they're trying to pickle your head with all sorts of shit, which we don't need to go into on here because we've covered it 1,000 times before. But I truly believe that mental health is on the decline because of the situation that the world is in at the moment, and also because we've made a lot of people weak. Now, that's not talking about people with schizophrenia. I want to clear that up, all right? I'm going more to the lines of anxiety and depression, all right, being as I've suffered from it. But I do believe that if you engineer generations to be incredibly weak, okay, because they're not parented in the same way that we were, not schooled in the same way that we were, and weren't brought up with a similar set of values that we did, then you're laying their future open to potential mental health problems for the rest of their life. So that may well be supply and demand kind of thing. That the demand is ridiculously high now because people just can't get their head around the situation they find themselves in, or can't get their head around what they're explained by somebody else and what they're seeing. But nevertheless, if you're a person that relies on this medication, I would be worried. I mean, if it's the one thing that keeps you on the straight and narrow and keeps you ticking over well, and somebody's saying to you, well, actually, we're not sure whether you're going to get your next set or what, it's going to cause you some upset, isn't it? So it's something that we need to look at a lot more and monitor. And everybody who, you know, I just got to watch what I say here, because it's all too easy to offend the fucking YouTube gods that think that, oh, well, that goes against this or that goes against that. All it is actually is they don't like my fucking channel. And that's fine, because that's up to them. And to be honest, YouTube, if you're watching this, if you yeeted my channel, you'd probably give me back a hell of a lot of my life. So you'd be doing me a favour, okay? Now, a lot of you say, why don't you just stop doing it? Because the comments say they want me to keep going. Man, that's what, you know, it does take up a lot of your life. It is good to talk to people and all the rest of it. But if they binned off my channel, yeah, maybe I'd start another one. But it would go quiet for a while and I'd get a bit of my life back. So YouTube, if you're watching this, you do what you fucking like. Anyway, don't forget there are professionals out there. By the way, if you're suffering with mental health, there's plenty of things on the internet that you can call and talk to, alright? You're not on your own. There's numerous different networks out there. It depends on what sort of mental health you're suffering from. I'm not too up on most of it, alright? But as I say, there are numerous places that you can call and get assistance, okay? And don't be afraid to call. Do not sit there on your own suffering. That's the worst thing you can do. That's what depression wants you to do and all the other things. Anyway, I'm on site now, so I've got to finish, and I'll speak to you in a bit.